Cameron Stewart of Locked On Baylor. Crazy comment from a BYU wide receiver, Chase Roberts, when he was asked the toughest place to play in the Big 12. And he said last year in Rice-Eccles Stadium, he couldn't hear the quarterback. I was there. I was in house for that one. And it was awesome. He
won't be able to hear Jake Retzlaff this year either.
Ooh, unless they just call each other. Man, what do you call me for? Been a while.
They probably talk through each other's JV basketball coaches.
Retzlaff, who I'm hearing might transfer to a school in the Big 12. I got a call from Mountaineer Paul this week, who was like, "Hey, man." I was like, "Paul, you good?" He's like, "I'm here in conference." I was like, "Hell yeah, you are, Mountaineer Paul. You are."
I got a "you up" text from Mountaineer Paul at Media Days. You guys must have got after it, man. I was like, fixing to be.
The idea that Rice-Eccles Stadium is the best atmosphere in the Big 12 is something that I can't completely deflect. It was awesome.
You've been there. Yeah.
It was great. I loved the atmosphere against BYU. It's hard to judge during a rivalry game. For me, it's much easier to judge when you're playing Southern Utah or when you're playing even Oklahoma State and Utah. Rice-Eccles would be better to me to judge a program than watching them compete against their rival. We saw some of the great crowds I saw for Baylor were against Texas and Oklahoma.
Sure.
Why? Because you want to beat Texas and Oklahoma. Same goes for Utah. So judging by, if I average out their game against Southern Utah, which should be your worst crowd, versus your game against Oklahoma State, yeah, it was or your game against BYU, it was very good. Of the Big 12 schools that I've seen, and you and I were there for it, I don't think Baylor is in the top 5. They just don't fill the stands. Even those really good years, it never felt like there was this just reverberation. The game against Oklahoma, that 28-3 against Oklahoma, one of the craziest atmospheres I've ever been a part of. It was electric, great, as loud as I've heard the stadium. Since then, I haven't seen 75% of that. And I don't even know, like post-COVID, I guess kids just stopped caring maybe. There was the whole deal about they wouldn't let students in the Baylor line, and it was like half empty, and no one can figure it out. Shout out Matt Burchett, who got just a ton of fire on Sikkim 365. He was just Satan there for a while. I've been to the Bounce House, UCF. The same game where Baylor was down, 27 points in the fourth quarter and came back and won. Blake Shapen, shout out. I've seen a good chunk now of places in this conference, but I was telling somebody this week, and I mean it, man, that Baylor BYU game in Provo, 2022, top 25 matchup. Jaron Hall's the quarterback playing against Gary Bohannon. No, Blake Shapen.
Yep.
Blake Shapen. And 3 missed field goals at the end of that contest we finally decided that BYU is going to win the game. Shapen overthrows the receiver on 4th and 15. That was when they brought out the Tongan fire dancers with the Cougar. It's like, what's happening?
It was something else, man. Yeah.
It went from, I'll use the word I would have used at the time that I refuse to use anymore. It's the first time I used this word in a long time in this show, but I heard it a lot at Big 12 Media Days from members. I thought, we're going to show up. This is going to be a massive crowd of mostly Mormon people. There it is. Dropped it. Mostly Mormon people.
People. You said people. I can't believe it.
Humans. And I just can't imagine it's going to be this rabid, ruthless crowd. And then the Tongan fire dancer. And I vividly remember it's September and my toes are freezing off somehow. And it just encapsulated what I love about college football. In that moment, I was hooked. I can't say that I've said anything nice about BYU since. But
sure,
that was something.
That is probably, I'll get back at the BYU fans' good graces here. That's got to be the best college football atmosphere I've ever been in.
Ever.
And I've been to games in Oklahoma.
Gaylord family.
At Texas.
Which was terrible, by the way.
Oklahoma, man. Woo. I know
one of the worst
game, but come on.
One of the worst.
I couldn't believe it was full. There was just nothing coming from that game day experience. Just nothing at all for one of the great programs in college football. I've been to games at Alumni Stadium at Boston College, and still nothing compared to that BYU.
I have seen sold out top 10 matchup in Tuscaloosa. Not even close. BYU was leagues ahead of what that was. That was almost it's a bad game day experience. Alabama's a bad game day experience. BYU blew it out of the water.
It is incredible. I'd probably put them at number 1, probably because I've been there. Utah, I'd put up there. Like as much as I want to stomp down Utah, and this, like just tone deaf take after tone deaf take. I'm seeing it on Twitter this weekend of like, oh, these little Big 12 stadiums don't compare to Rice Eccles. And someone quote tweeted it was like, Utah's got the 7th biggest stadium in the Big 12. But they do have one of the great atmospheres, I would say. And then that second tier of Big 12 atmospheres is what's interesting to me. And that tier of like, on their day, they can have a good one, which
I would put Oklahoma State possibly in the top tier, by the way. I think
too.
They deserve mention. Yeah.
Yes. Like what you would say of like when they have a good matchup, it is a pretty good atmosphere. I would put Baylor in that. I guess I'd put the Bounce House in that. Everyone says it's great. I've just never seen a great atmosphere there.
It's just not full right now.
How much I hear
it's
it,
not full.
I'm guessing that on a good matchup, it is that good. But that is like purely a guess at this point. I guess you could say that for TCU when they used to have like, BCS busting.
But I've never.
Days, but I
was there. TCU senior day.
Sorry, go ahead.
They played Matt Campbell. That was 3-9. Matt Campbell, Iowa State. And this is for TCU to go to the Big 12 title. They'd already punched their ticket. It sucked.
Yeah.
It's a $3.25 kick. They let the students, by the way, have like $3 beers an hour before the game. They have this happy hour deal where if you get there early, you get $3 beers. Legendary. I had 17 of them.
Pretty great.
And in the student section, and it was just boring. Everyone left by halftime too. It was a blowout. Max Duggan, everybody left by halftime. I went to Farmageddon last year. I waxed poetic. It's a great game day experience, but from just a crowd and noise standpoint, now looked also tough to judge. It was 16 degrees. Everyone was frozen, but that's kind of what they're built for there. It's kind of what they're supposed to do. Yeah. And I still didn't think it was BYU. What were you going to say?
I was going to say kind of that perfect example of like on their day, it's a good atmosphere, but to use your example of like, do they bring it against their worst opponent? Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get, again, everyone said, night game at Jones, night game in Lubbock. Like that is fantastic. That looks like an otherworldly atmosphere.
But it's
2:00 against Kansas State.
But even night game Jones AT&T isn't a guaranteed win. We've
No, it's
the last two times Baylor's played there, they've been night games where they've done where there have been high stakes or some honor of Patrick Mahomes or something, and Baylor's walked out of there with 7 interceptions of the Texas Tech quarterbacks in a blowout win on both occasions.
Yeah.
And 2 Baylor teams.
They scored 100 points in those 2 games.
And those are 2 Baylor teams you don't write home about. That's, I think, 6-7 Baylor and then 8-5 Baylor.
Yep.
And they went to Tech on a couple of years where Tech was fine, at least 5. Yeah, or Joey McGuire all 3 years, actually. Both of those years, I should say. And just made quick work. Like they... you can't call that a top 5 atmosphere in the Big 12. Not yet, at least.
There's no more important relationship than a boy and his father. Okay, Dave Aranda, Joey McGuire, Baylor, Texas Tech.
That's the one. It's infuriating. It's infuriating as someone myself who has rooted ad nauseum for years on end now for Dave Aranda to be fired. They can win the national championship, and there's just some bone within me after the things that I saw and witnessed. And I can't even say we should have hired Joey McGuire. I can't even say
it's like the ultimate win for Dave through his first couple of seasons we revisit that debate every year of like, should they have just hired Joey McGuire instead, like the players wanted? And the answer is like, I guess not. I guess not. You know what? Tech's fixing up the stadium. They're doing the portal thing. But when it comes down to the games on the field, probably not. Probably not. Kansas State. They push the place out.
I also think West Virginia, post Neil Brown, when we see them come back, could be a top 3, definitely top 5.
It's a great fan base.
Super passionate,
fan base, but
them against Pitt, same thing as like a Utah BYU. Hard to judge you on that day because it's going to be good. Yeah. West Virginia Pitt, hard to judge you on that. But West Virginia UCF, how good is your atmosphere? That again, 12 or 13 fan bases in the Big 12. The answer is bad. I mean, you're not alone.
Yeah.
If Cincinnati comes to town, UCF comes to town, 13 of your fan bases here probably are going to have a great crowd.
Like what's it going to be like just for a home game at Colorado this year? No, you still got Dion. He's wearing the cowboy hat, but you don't have the Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't have Rapid. They packed the place out.
No, they sold season tickets, but
Rapid.
Were you afraid to go up and play there? Baylor didn't lose because of the atmosphere. Baylor lost because they choked, man. Like,
insane.
you know, it's yeah. So I would say the only like nailed on ones, God, I don't like saying it, man. Like the nailed on ones are BYU, Utah, Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And even Oklahoma State, the end of last year, it was abysmal. Like to watch.
That's where I think like West Virginia, I might put West Virginia over Oklahoma State.
You were the one who said Oklahoma State top 3. So you putting West Virginia top 3?
Yeah, I am now. I thought about it again.
What is also funny about this argument is the atmospheres in the Big 12 got better with letting UT and OU leave and bringing in those 4 schools. You know, the respect didn't get better, but the atmospheres did. But UT is fine. You know,
I've been to games of both, and they kind of suck.
Yeah.
For what they are, they're just like, what? This is
for being 2 of the top 10 programs in the history of college football, arguably.
This isn't good.
There's not much there.
I'm not having a great time here. That's Cameron Stewart of Locked On Baylor.
Sometimes.
Thanks for making our shows your first listen every single day. Come back tomorrow. I'm sure we'll be talking about sports or something. This has been It Always Will Be Locked On. Thanks again for making your first listen every single day. Crossover, Baylor, and Dose Grande.